Hey friends, you've got Renee here at Mold Mending. So it seems like there's not a total belief in the severity of what I am walking through with mold illness. And those of you out there hearing this, you might feel the same way with your mold illness or your chronic illness, that to the average person, they look at you and you look normal. And they think that we are over the top reacting to something. And a good example of that is just something that happened this week. There's always an example of that in my life, but I'll just share with you a recent one. I mean, it's not knocking this person at all, but we're fixing up a room in the house. And because I have this mold illness, what also comes alongside of it is a multiple chemical sensitivity. So that means scents. I am hypersensitive to smells and such, to the point of even when I put on this lip gloss today, I was like, oh, I can't handle that smell. And finally went away. So I was okay with continuing to wear it. But there are some days that I just can't even handle the smell that's on lipstick or even on like mascara. Now I noticed that they'll even put a scent in even your skincare products. But this particular situation was, we're fixing up a room. We had to buy paint. And my husband was saying, just get a paint. It's not gonna, the smell's not gonna be big. It won't last that long. You'll be fine. And I insisted we need to buy a low VOC or a no VOC. And it seemed like I wasn't communicating it well. And so I reshared with him, expressed to him, I need to be able to not have that smell in the house. And I don't want to deal with the reactions that it would bring. So he did actually look up what I was saying, and he sent me an article. And so I read the article about the different kind of paints that you can buy and such. And then I sent him back a screenshot of the one that I thought would work after I looked up what was at our local hardware and sent that to him. And there still seemed to be a resistance a little bit. And to the point of, I felt like, shoot, I hope I actually go and buy the paint with him, or I just hope he finally hears me when I say 0 VOCs. This is why, because I don't know how bad the reaction is going to be to paint, but I do know that the paint smell bothers me. And so he did come around, hallelujah, and he did choose a 0 VOC paint. And then we went to finishing the paint job, and he's like, I don't smell it at all. And I said, you know, Eddie, the second coat of paint, I was able to be in there doing the second coat of paint because I had the door wide open. We had the area blocked off with plastic so the smell wouldn't go into the rest of the house. So he's like, I don't smell it. And I'm like, well, because that little area has been roomed out or aired out, and the rest of the house is blocked off from it because of this plastic. And then he was asking me, well, why do you need plastic up then if you can't smell it? And I had to explain again. I have a hypersensitivity to smell. And even though this is a very low VOC, because we bought this paint, had to add some colorant to it, which made it have some VOC in it. Back, you smelled a little bit of a sweet smell, but not this headache making kind of smell in front of other kinds of paint. And yes, I could have not kept that plastic up, but I knew I had to take care of myself to make sure that just in caser, that scent doesn't travel through the rest of the house. So we finished the paint job, had the conversation. Then I took all the tape off of the sides and the floor where it was taped down and just kind of lifted it up over a chair so we could move our washer and dryer back into that room. And when we were done, he was like, well, why don't you just rip the plastic down? I'm like, I just want to make sure the scent doesn't travel through. There could be a scent. Well, we closed the door to go to bed, woke up today, and I did notice just this faint scent. And I thought, If I'm smelling that and that's through plastic being up on the wall, what are we going to do when we paint like a bathroom that's closer? Probably going to have to sleep in a different room so that it's not the bathroom. You know, if we work on our bathroom or work on another room that's right attached to our bedroom, that's probably going to be too much to be smelling if we're not airing it out, having an air purifier in there. And so I've got an air purifier in there now today. It is sealed with plastic. And I even put an air purifier, made sure all the air purifiers were on in the rest of the house so that it doesn't travel back here to my office or travel into our bedroom. But all that to say that sometimes it's confusing to folks that are in our life, that they see that we're getting better, but they don't realize there's still some things that could set us off. And even with it stating that it was a 0 VOC, that doesn't mean that it's no scent. It doesn't mean that I could be triggered. And I found that I had to have the door open in order to work in there, and I had to be outside to clean all the products. Then another example is sometimes we're not understood even with our own family and close friends when we say, you know, I have to step back. Like for me, I had to step back because I had gotten sick from traveling, and mentioned to my doctor about that, about misfiring, you know, just zoning out, and then having just this lack of energy and finding out it was my mitochondria that needs to be rebuilt, and a lot of folks around me that are sick. And so she was telling me to be extra careful, you know, and give it a couple of weeks when somebody's sick before I go back around them, and avoid, you know, large groups. And so I had to kind of re-navigate things, or most people around me were thinking I was looking good. You know, I came home from this trip and seemed like it didn't batter me bad. You know, I was still functioning daily, but I'll be honest, since that trip, I haven't had the energy to have a lot of conversations during the week. So I'm not doing as much discipleship as I previously did. I'm not doing as many phone calls as I previously did. I'm doing even more sleeping in, just to try to get more energy before I hit it with making these videos, or before I try to do any kind of housework, or before I try to do any kind of grant writing. I can tell that that trip affected me. And so when I tell friends and family, hey, I'm not going to make it to this, sometimes I can tell I get this questioning look or this questioning response. And it's because they might think that I'm overreacting to sickness, or overreacting to not wanting to get sick or to catch COVID. But I'm trying to take this very seriously, that my immune system is depleted right now. And my doctor said that I need to be careful, and also said I needed to avoid areas where, you know, larger groups are gathering, that illness can easily spread. So I am having to be vigilant to protect myself. I'm taking it serious as if it were a cancer that I was battling right now. And if I were with somebody who was sick, they would make me susceptible to get that. And that's the same thing that happens with those of us with mold illness, and especially those of us with the depleted immune system. We are highly susceptible to anything. So somebody's just dripping at the nose or a little cough, it can become this full-blown bronchitis, full-blown pneumonia, who knows? And but on the outside we look fine, or on the outside they see us smiling and giggling and laughing, or we sound good one day, you know, on the phone, but they don't see what's going on the next 2 days with our dip in our energy and the pains that we're feeling, or all the other things going on in our body with, it could be the headaches, or it could be constipation, or it could be a reaction to a supplement. They just see us as normal, and they might see us as a compromise, and that it could be confusing to them. You used to be allergic to these things, now you're saying you're not. There's a lot of different variables that make it capable for us to be in some scenarios, but not others, you know? So hopefully you guys can relate. And I'm just here to tell you, just stand strong with what your convictions are. And if I could do it different, it would be, I would have communicated better up front before folks needed me. You know, I wasn't communicating with a lot of folks ahead of time saying, hey, if you're sick, you know, I'm not going to be around you for 2 weeks. You know, here's what my doctor said. I could have done that differently instead of, hey, can you meet me at this place, help me out with this project? And then I have to say, well, have you been sick in the last 2 weeks? So I'm learning to communicate ahead of time before someone wants to visit and before an event happens, or friends want to come visit us this weekend. And I haven't even told them my new protocol, which is if you've been around somebody sick or you yourselves have been sick, I need to avoid for 2 weeks being around you so that that does not affect me. And that's also meaning all your symptoms are gone. I don't want to be at all, just don't want to be susceptible to it. So I've begun telling people when I've known that I've got meetings with them coming up in the month, I'll say, hey, I just need to let you know, which I just did that, need to let you know that if for any reason either of you have been sick in the last 2 weeks with any kind of symptoms, we'll have to change how we meet or change our time. I just need to protect my health that way. I know this hasn't been the case in the past, and it won't be the case in the future as I ramp up my immune system, but I just had to put that out there with them. But now I'm going to have to continue to put that out there. I've had to set it up with family members now. It stinks because I have to have it up with my grandkids, and I hate that because I just want to squish them and hug them and hold them. And I'm hating that I haven't been able to see them now for almost 7 weeks in person. I hate the lack of time with family because that's important to me. I even find that I'll switch the way I sleep because Eddie will sometimes cough at night. And if we're facing each other, it'll go right to my face. And I'm like, shoot, I'm going to have to face the other way. You know, it's just a quick nighttime. But the last thing I need is him being Mr. Strong. He could also be a carrier, and I don't need that to come upon me. So I'm just trying to be careful, but not be, I'm not consumed and I'm not being overzealous about this, but it can come across that way when we haven't communicated from the get-go. So even we had an invitation to a football party, and you know, the Super Bowl party, and I told Eddie, I'm just let him know that I'm avoiding groups. And same thing with Bible study, just let him know I'm avoiding groups right now. And thank God I did, because I found out that somebody that had just been there to one of these parties, it just had COVID 2 weeks prior. And that's the last thing I want to have to be dealing with. And then found out at another event, 2 people were sick there. I'm like, come on. So instead of asking people not to go to events so that Renee can show up, I just choose to refrain from it, and I find an alternative to do. I've just learned to have to do that with this illness. You know, even when Bible studies are being hosted at, or parties, family parties or friends parties, it's hosted at a place I can't enter, I just decline, and I have my own party at home. Make myself my own treat and tell Eddie to go, who's my husband, tell him to go and have fun, and he'll go and socialize and hang out and all that. And then when he gets home, he knows he has to take everything off, get it remediated in the wash machine, but I'm not affected. Anyway, I just want to chat with you guys about that. Hope you can relate, and hopefully I'm encouraging you as well. Take care.